Okay, so you have been applying for jobs in UX and you finally get invited to come in for an interview. What do you do next? How do you prepare? And how do you make sure that you've set yourself up for success? Well, that's what I'm going to answer in this video for you. But in case we haven't met yet, I am Sarah Doody, a user experience designer and entrepreneur. And these videos are filled with honest answers and insights to your questions about user experience, design, and technology. So we're in the middle of a little series about UX careers right now. And let's imagine you finally got invited to come in for the interview. What do you do? So we're going to cover portfolios, how to prepare for exercises they might have you do, and other general tips that could help set you apart from everyone else. So, of course, you should have a portfolio. Now, today we are not going to cover all the details of a UX portfolio, but you should definitely have one. Now, what does that look like? It is going to look very different depending on what type of role you're looking for in user experience. For example, a visual designer's portfolio will be quite different from, say, a researcher's portfolio. Let's face it, the work a researcher does just is not as pretty as what maybe a visual designer would do. But here are some principles that can help you regardless of what role you are looking for in user experience. So above all, your portfolio should tell a story. It should not just be a collection of the screenshots of the final product or the Photoshop version of the product that looked amazing in Photoshop, but once it went into development, things changed a little. Your portfolio needs to tell a story. And what do I mean by that? I mean, it needs to tell me the story of what problem was that product or feature solving? Who was it for? How did you approach creating that product or that feature? How long did it take? How big was the team that you worked with? What challenges did you maybe run into? How did you solve those problems? So you want to tell me the story and make it as though I'm almost reading kind of like a mini case study of how that project went. Now, it should not be all text, and hopefully a lot of it is things that you can speak to during the actual interview. But what I would never want to see is just a portfolio that is just page after page after page of pristine screenshot, because that doesn't tell me anything. That just tells me that you can take screenshot. So tell me the story and be very transparent. Don't just sugarcoat the whole thing, because let's face it, nothing ever goes perfectly right in product development. So after you have your portfolio in place, you really want to be prepared for some questions and answers in the interview. So what do I mean by that? There are a ton of questions that you could practice with. Just do a quick Google search and you'll come across them. But a couple that really stick out to me that I think a lot of people kind of skim over are, I'd be prepared to answer the question, what are some products that you think are doing a really great job with their user experience right now? And your answer should just not be whatever the new golden child is right now. So imagine, Pinterest 6 years ago or Instagram. Don't just rattle off something that, was on the front page of TechCrunch a few weeks ago. Tell me something interesting. Tell me something that maybe I have not heard of yet. But don't just say, oh, it has a really good user experience. Go a little deeper and be thoughtful about why they have done such a good job. Dig into the experience a little bit and choose specific things that stand out. Was the onboarding really, really well done? Do they do a good job at, say, micro feedback? Do they do a good job at using email to pull me back into the product? Have they created really strong viral loops in their product? Things like that. Don't just tell me, oh, it looks really cool or something like that. That doesn't really help me understand that you can think critically and thoughtfully. I would also have a few of those examples in mind, but on the converse, have examples of products that maybe don't have a good experience. And this is important because this answer will show me that you're capable of spotting problems. So part of being a great UX designer is that you can be a problem spotter. So I would like for you to spot problems in products that you're using or maybe that are mainstream. Tell me something interesting that you realized on Amazon or Uber or something that is really not the best user experience. And bonus points if you can be thoughtful and tell me how you might go about solving that problem or addressing that problem. So have examples of good experiences and bad experiences. I think those are great, but just do a quick Google search and you'll come across tons of other questions that you could start to think about before an interview. Now, also, you should be really prepared to do some exercises. And I first realized this, Google interviewed me twice, at least twice, and I went out to San Francisco and did this whole day interview thing. And one of the parts of the day was going through this kind of interactive exercise where this guy came in, gave me kind of this scenario, and then he said, how would you go about solving this? And there was really two components to that. Part one was kind of just a little bit of talk aloud. And that really means, if you're familiar with research, you know this, but when you do research and someone is trying to do tasks as a part of a usability test, we sometimes ask them to talk aloud, narrate what's kind of going through their head, and explain to us what they're thinking. So in the same way, it's just talking through the problem. So there's a little bit of that, but then there's also, okay, let's talk it out and then let's draw it out. So let's go to the whiteboard and brainstorm what this solution should be, or brainstorm to understand the problem even more. So if you are uncomfortable with thinking on your feet and whiteboarding and brainstorming, especially with another person, if that kind of freaks you out or is intimidating, you should get over that because it's a great skill for user or UX careers, but it's going to be really awkward in the interview if you're not comfortable kind of just jumping in, talking through ideas. Even if you start to go down a path and you realize, oh, that was the wrong path to go down, that's fine. That's just like part of the process. So practice doing some brainstorming, grab a colleague, just get comfortable with that because it will definitely show if you are not. So third thing, really quickly, I know this video is running long, is to research the company. So by that I mean, if you know the team that you're interviewing for or the people that you might end up speaking with, take a little bit of time to Google them and research them a little bit. Go to LinkedIn, look at their Twitter, see what they're working on. See if you can come up with some questions that you might like to ask them, because a lot of times in interviews, they do give you the chance to ask questions. And if you just sit there and say, I don't really have any questions, to me, again, that's an indicator that you are really not an inquisitive person. You don't have that curiosity that is really vital to being a great user experience designer. So don't show up empty-handed. Do some research and come with some questions that you might like to ask the people that might be your colleagues one day. So that is about it. Have a portfolio. Tell a story with that portfolio. Be prepared with some examples. Do your research. Be prepared to do exercises. And I guess a fourth thing or fifth, I don't know which one we're at anymore, is for your portfolio, this might seem obvious, but come with your own laptop in case something goes wrong with their conference room or they get moved from the conference room and that conference room doesn't have a laptop anymore. Come with your own laptop. Have a local copy on your computer in case the Wi-Fi is screwed up, and that would be embarrassing if you couldn't show your portfolio because their Wi-Fi wasn't working. And also bring a copy of your resume. It doesn't hurt. Could seem a little cheesy, but I just think it's helpful if the person that's interviewing you was in a rush, just shows that you were thoughtful and came prepared. So that's all. Hopefully this has given you some tips on how to prepare for your UX interview and not get surprised once you get in there. So thanks for watching. I hope this was helpful, and I will talk to you soon. And if you want to learn more about user experience, you can get my weekly user experience newsletter. Comes out every Friday. Just pop on over to theuxnotebook.com, and I'll see you in the next issue coming up every Friday. So thanks for watching, and I will talk to you soon, guys. See you later.